Welcome back to my channel. I have another book review for you today, and this is The Winter Orphans by Kristen Beck. Now, if you watch this channel regularly, you'll know you might have noticed that I probably read 2 to 3, even 4 historical fiction books every single month. The thing is, every historical fiction book I read has a different flavor, so to speak, and this one here involves a group of children who were secreted away and protected by the Swiss Red Cross. But it's also the story of a young Jewish refugee named Ella Rosenthal who is doing everything she can to protect her little sister Honey. So, the reason why she's in charge of protecting her sister is their parents were deported, and now the girls are on their own. As mentioned, they're being helped by the Swiss Red Cross. Now, our Swiss Red Cross volunteers are Rosalie Nav and Anne-Marie Piguet. I would say Piguet. And Rosalie is a nurse, and Anne-Marie is the caretaker and the friend to these children, and they both work super, super hard doing whatever it is to keep these children safe. Now, there's kind of like 2 categories of children. It's the older teens, especially the male teens that, even if they're teens and they look like they're grown men, because they can be conscripted into service. Also, the Swiss Red Cross has a better chance at protecting younger children. Now, we know that time in history was a painful, difficult, impossible to imagine even living in that time. And now we have this book that reminds us of all the horrors of World War II, but then we see how many children were affected. This book is just an example. That's all it is an example of the children that were affected by the war. Now, I don't think I've ever read about the Swiss Red Cross before, so that's why I said that every historical fiction book I read is just a little bit different. Now, as mentioned, you have the older children who age out of the orphanage type program, and those are the ones that our ladies, Rosalie and Anne-Marie, came up with a plan that is part of a network to get these children out of France and across the Swiss border. The thing is, I don't remember the kilometers, but just crossing the Swiss border was not enough. They had to be 20 or so kilometers past the Swiss border. So if they were caught even on the other side of that border, if they weren't far enough in, they could be arrested, sent to a work camp, or even sent to a death camp. Very, 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 very tenuous. That's the situation that these children were in. But then we have our character, Ella Rosenthal, as mentioned. She's our principal young character. And we see that when she's taking care of her sister, she knows that she could qualify to be part of the escape plan for older teenagers, but she doesn't want to leave her little sister behind. Now, this is based on historical events, but it's a fictionalized story. So it is historical fiction based on true events, and that's what Kristen Beck did. She wrote this book in such a way to make you felt for the children, then the teenagers, and then the adults that were helping the children. And lastly, when the children would get to certain destinations, you hoped and prayed that their contacts were legitimate and not people that would eventually betray them. What an intense, I want to say intense 3 times. What an utterly intense story by Kristen Beck that gave a mix of, what did I write? Because I made a quick note, and I want to tell you. I said hope is a wary companion to fear. Okay, so my thought is hope is a wary companion to fear. So in other words, these people lived, or these children lived day by day by day. But yet, the story is beyond it being just a heartbreaking story. It's also one of hope. It's one of courage. It's one of strength. And it had a very pleasant ending. Now, of course, our ending in reading any historical fiction books is to see what happens to our characters after the war was over. Okay? But in this particular case, the fight took place, as in many of the historical fiction books I read, while while World War II was in its intense stages. And then the fact that there was no country left untouched. And that's why, this taking place in France and people trying to escape to the other border was just so amazing, so chilling. And I love the fact that the Swiss Red Cross had legal responsibilities, but those legal responsibilities constantly clashed with the moral responsibilities Rosalie and Anne-Marie and other adults had when it came to these children. Excellent, excellent book. It's definitely a 5-star book. Can't quite say whether it's a favorite yet, because today is only the 12th and I've got another 20 or 30 more books I'll be reading. But let me tell you, this book, The Winter Orphans by Kristen Beck, is definitely one to read and to watch for. Now, it's a Berkeley publication, if I'm not mistaken, so you can get it on Amazon for about $11.99. But you can also use an Audible credit and check out your online library or Scribd or Barnes & Noble. I'm just giving you some options because this is a book that you may want to read if you love historical fiction, especially when it's based on or inspired by true events. Alrighty, thank you for watching. Bye-bye.